If tomorrow the Earth decided to reclaim everything it ever lent us, what single memory would you choose to carry? This planet is a master of the impossible. A sanctuary of wonders that ignore the laws of physics and the relentless march of time. Cities etched into the heartbeat of ancient mountains, cathedrals that float upon the pulse of the tide. Today, we embark on a singular journey through 30 profound UNESCO World Heritage sites. Places that, by all rights, should not exist. Let us walk these paths to realize that we still know very little about the world we call home. Our journey into the unthinkable begins high in the mist of the Peruvian Andes, at a fortress that seems to hang between heaven and earth. 7,970 feet, or 2,430 meters above sea level, a city sits balanced on a narrow ridge between two jagged peaks. Machu Picchu is not merely a ruin, it is a masterpiece of defiance that the Inca threw in the face of gravity. Here the mountains are steep, the air is thin, and the clouds often swallow the stone whole. The true impossibility lies in the rock itself. The Inca used no mortar, no clay, and no cement. They utilized a technique known as ashlar masonry, carving massive granite blocks to fit together with such terrifying precision that a single blade of grass cannot be pushed between them. When the heavy rains of the Andes fall, or when the earth begins to shake with the tremors common to this region, these stones do not collapse. They dance. They vibrate in place, absorbing the seismic energy before settling back into their original, perfect positions. Surrounding the temples, hundreds of agricultural terraces serve as a sophisticated engineering machine, stabilizing the slopes and draining torrential rains. Standing firm for over 500 years, it remains a silent witness to a civilization that understood the rhythm of the earth. The plains of central Myanmar are home to a dreamscape that defies the logic of the modern world. Over 2,000 ancient temples and pagodas rise from the dust, their red brick spires piercing the heavy morning mist like whispers from a forgotten age. At the heart of this sacred forest sits the Ananda Temple, a gilded beacon of symmetrical perfection. This is the spiritual soul of Southeast Asia. Built in the 11th century, its golden etched, or umbrella spire, catches the first light of dawn, reflecting a glow that can be seen for miles. To walk here is to feel the weight of centuries. The temples are not just monuments, they are vessels of devotion, housing colossal Buddha statues that have watched the rise and fall of empires. In Bagan, the landscape is a living mandala, where the boundary between the physical earth and the golden heavens seems to dissolve into the morning haze. Look up. High above the plains of central Greece, massive pillars of smooth grey sandstone reach toward the sky, some rising over 1,000 feet or 300 meters. Balanced on their narrow summits are the monasteries of Meteora, structures that seem to float in the air, disconnected from the mundane world below. The name itself means suspended in space, and for centuries, these retreats were truly unreachable. To build them, monks carried every stone, every beam, and every basket of supplies up the sheer vertical faces using only ropes, nets, and iron willpower. There were no paths, only the terrifying void. This was an architecture of survival and solitude. Even today, as you look at these stone fortresses clinging to the abyss, the mind struggles to accept the scale of the feat. This is where the earth ends and the divine begins. At the foot of the Jade Dragon Snow Mountain, the old town of Lijiang flows like a living river. Unlike the rigid grids of other ancient cities, Lijiang has no walls. It is a labyrinth of winding cobblestone streets and over 350 arched stone bridges, all designed around a sophisticated network of canals. Water is the blood of this town. Fed by the melting glaciers above, the crystal streams weave through the courtyards of traditional wooden houses with their distinctive curved black tiles. It is a rare harmony of nature and urban life. Every street follows the curve of the water, and every bridge connects a different era of history. As the red lanterns reflect in the ripples of the canals at dusk, the town feels less like a city and more like a rhythmic poem written in wood and stone, standing unchanged for 800 years. The journey begins with the Sick, a narrow, winding gorge carved by tectonic forces where the towering sandstone walls rise up to 600 feet or 180 meters. It is a dark, cool passage that keeps the secret of the desert until the very last moment, when the crack in the rock finally reveals the rose-red glow of the treasury. Carved directly into the face of a mountain over 2,000 years ago, Petra is the ultimate monument to human ingenuity in an environment that offers nothing. The Nabateans were not just architects, they were masters of the flood. In a land that receives less than 6 inches or 15 centimeters of rain a year, they engineered a hidden system of dams and ceramic pipes to capture every drop of water. This allowed a city of 30,000 people to thrive in the middle of a scorched wilderness. Beyond the famous facades are thousands of caves, theaters, and tombs, all bleeding with the natural iron and copper veins of the stone. It is a city that doesn't just sit on the desert, it is born from it, a ghost of an empire that learned how to turn a barren canyon into a flourishing oasis. In the heart of Japan, time has a different texture. Kyoto is a city of 1,600 temples, but its true power lies in the spaces between the structures. Here, the architecture is a physical manifestation of Zen philosophy, where the simplicity of cedar wood and the silence of raked gravel create a landscape for the mind. The temples are built without a single nail. They rely on complex joinery, where wood meets wood in a flexible, interlocking embrace that has allowed these massive halls to survive earthquakes and centuries of humidity. Kinkakuji, the Golden Pavilion, stands as a stunning contrast to the surrounding deep greens, its top 2 floors completely covered in pure gold leaf, reflecting perfectly in the mirror pond. But it is in the dry stone gardens where the impossible is reached. 15 rocks placed in a sea of white sand, arranged so that no matter where you stand, you can never see all 15 at once. It is a reminder that in this world of wonders, there is always something hidden, something waiting to be understood in the stillness. Leave the solid earth behind and descend into a realm where the distinction between stone and sea dissolves. Venice is a city that by every law of nature should have sunk into the Adriatic mud centuries ago. To walk these marble halls is to stand atop a literal underwater forest. Beneath the grand palaces and the towering basilica of St. Mark lie millions of timber piles driven deep into the soft silt of the lagoon. For the construction of the Church of Santa Maria della Salute alone, builders drove more than 1.1 million stakes of oak and larch into the seabed. The impossibility is found in the chemistry of the water. Submerged in the oxygen-deprived mud and bathed in mineral-rich salt water, these wooden columns did not rot. They petrified, turning into pillars of iron-like stone that have supported the weight of an entire empire for over 1,000 years. It is a city born of a desperate flight from invaders, where refugees transformed a hostile salt marsh into a masterpiece of engineering. Every canal is a street. Every doorway is a harbor. In Venice, humanity did not just build on the water, they taught the sea how to carry the weight of civilization. travel north to find a city that feels as though it were breathed into existence by a storyteller. Prague is a labyrinth of Gothic spires and Baroque domes where the Vltava River flows beneath the silent gaze of 30 stone saints. This is the aesthetic of Central Europe, captured in amber. Narrow cobblestone alleys wind past the astronomical clock, a mechanical marvel from the year 1410 that still tracks the movement of the stars. Every weathered rooftop whispers a tale of the past, while the city's dark silhouette against the deepening twilight remains a hauntingly evocative ghost of our collective history. Far across the Atlantic, on the high Altiplano of Mexico, lies a city whose scale defies the limits of the ancient world. Teotihuacan, the place where the gods were born, was once one of the largest urban centers on the planet, housing over 100,000 people. The sheer ambition of its layout is staggering. The Avenue of the Dead stretches for nearly 2 miles, or over 3 kilometers, a massive ritual axis aligned with the stars. At its heart sits the Pyramid of the Sun, a colossal structure containing over 1 million cubic yards, or 760,000 cubic meters, of earth and stone. The ancient architects here did not have pack animals, metal tools, or the wheel. Yet they calculated the movements of Venus and the constellations to align their pyramids with the heavens. It is a city of geometric precision, a terrifying and beautiful testament to a people who saw the cosmos reflected in the very streets they walked. France returned to the Old World, where a river acts as a mirror for an entire culture. The banks of the Seine are more than a scenic walk. They are a chronological map of human elegance. From the fortress foundations of the Louvre to the iron lace of the Eiffel Tower, the city unfolds like a turning page. This is where the heavy stone of the Middle Ages meets the lightness of modern glass. A silent dialogue between the centuries unfolds along the water's edge. Seine carries the reflection of a city that has spent 1,000 years perfecting the art of being seen. The logic of Paris is pushed to its absolute extreme at Versailles. This is the geometry of absolute power. The Sun King transformed 2,000 acres of mosquito-infested swamp into a study in perfect symmetry, moving mountains of earth to design a hydraulic system for 50 fountains. Every tree here grows into a clipped, perfect shape, and every drop of water rises strictly on command, carving a physical manifesto for a man who believed he was the center of the universe. Inside, the Hall of Mirrors uses 17 massive glass arches to pull the sunlight into a golden interior where nature was forced to surrender to human will. Leave the gilded halls of Europe for the volcanic mist of Java. Rising from a sea of emerald palm trees is Borobudur, the largest Buddhist monument on Earth. This mountain of stone was constructed from over 2 million blocks of volcanic rock, stacked without a single drop of mortar. It is a three-dimensional mandala, a map of the universe that passes through 504 Buddha statues. At sunrise, the stone seems to glow with an inner light. 72 seated Buddhas stare out across the volcanic mist, silent in their eternal stone meditation. In the heart of Asia Minor, the Earth seems to have forgotten its own rules. Cappadocia is a landscape of jagged stone pillars, known as fairy chimneys, but the true impossibility lies beneath the surface. For thousands of years, humans have turned this stone into a sanctuary. Ancient hands carved into the soft volcanic tuff to create ornate churches and massive underground cities reaching 18 stories deep, capable of housing 20,000 people in total darkness. As the first light of dawn breaks, hundreds of hot air balloons rise into the air, a modern dialogue between ancient survival and the human desire to soar above the constraints of the Earth. lofty mountains of Luzon, we encounter a monumental landscape that is as much a social contract as it is an engineering feat. The rice terraces of the Philippine Cordilleras are the result of 2,000 years of continuous labor by the Ifugao people. Without the use of machinery or metal tools, they carved these vertical gardens into the steep mountain slopes using only wood and stone. If placed end to end, these terraces would wrap halfway around the globe. This is a living masterpiece of balance, where the sound of mountain water rushing through ancient irrigation canals meets the rhythmic chant of farmers who have maintained this fragile stairway to heaven for over 20 generations. In the centre of New Zealand's North Island, the landscape stripped of its greenery becomes a minimalist study in sci-fi terrain. Tongariro is a land of extreme contrasts, where sharp black basalt flows meet the brilliant, toxic green of the Emerald Lakes. This is a volcanic desert, a place of red craters and vast, desolate plateaus that look more like the surface of Mars than anything on Earth. The wind howls across the pumice stone, and the air carries the sharp scent of volcanic gas. Mistngaruho, a near-perfect cone rising 7,503 feet or 2,287 meters, stands as a jagged silhouette against the sky. There is a raw, unfinished quality to the mountains here, as if the planet is still in the middle of creating itself. Deep within the craters, the earth is stained in shades of iron red and sulfur yellow, a stark, beautiful violence that offers no shade and no comfort, only the vast, silent majesty of the void. .600 miles, or nearly 1,000 kilometers from the mainland, a volcanic archipelago serves as the most isolated laboratory of life on the planet. The Galapagos Islands are a place where time seems to have moved in a different direction. Here, the animals have no memory of fear. Giant tortoises, some weighing over 900 pounds or 400 kilograms, move like slow boulders through the highland mists, having lived for over a century. Marine iguanas, the only lizards on Earth that swim in the sea, bask on black lava rocks in thousands, their scales encrusted with salt. Every island is a tiny, self-contained world with species that exist nowhere else. The blue-footed booby performs its rhythmic dance just inches from your feet. And sea lions nap on the docks like stray dogs. It is a quiet, profound sanctuary where the struggle for survival has produced forms of life so specific and strange they forced us to rewrite our understanding of biology. In the heart of the Sahara Desert, a forest of stone rises from the shifting sands. Tassili Naja is a vast sandstone plateau of eroded pillars, arches, and deep canyons that the wind has sculpted into a lunar landscape of terrifying beauty. This is a cemetery of a greener age. Hidden among the jagged rock formations are over 15,000 prehistoric engravings and paintings, some dating back 10,000 years. These images tell an impossible story. They depict hippopotamuses, giraffes, and crocodiles in a land that is now one of the driest places on Earth. You can see the handprints of people who hunted in lush forests and swam in rivers that have been buried by sand for millennia. The rock art is a vibrant, colorful chronicle of a lost world, where the stone itself remembers a time when the Sahara breathed with life. Brazil, deep within the basin of the world's largest river, the Earth is not stone or sand, but a dense, humming wall of green. The Central Amazon Conservation Complex protects over 13 million acres, or 5.3 million hectares, of primary rainforest. This is the lungs of the planet, a place where the humidity is so thick it feels like a physical weight. Below the canopy, life is a layered symphony of billions of insects, macaws, and howler monkeys, most of which will never touch the ground. The Rio Negro flows through the forest like a vein of black glass. Its waters dark with tannin, but teeming with life. It is an environment of constant decomposition and rebirth, where the death of a single giant tree provides the energy for thousands of new orchids and vines. In the deep silence of the flooded forests, the black water reflects the towering trees with such clarity that the world feels mirrored. A vast, green infinity that holds secrets of biodiversity we have only begun to name. Leave the quiet forests of the Amazon behind for a place where the earth literally seems to open its mouth and roar. At the border of Argentina and Brazil, the Iguazu River prepares for a sudden, violent descent, creating a wall of collapsing water that spans nearly 2 miles, or 3 kilometers. This is not a single waterfall. It is an archipelago of 275 separate cataracts that tear through the rainforest. The centerpiece is the Garganta del Diablo, or the Devil's Throat, a U-shaped chasm where the majority of the river's volume plunges 269 feet, or 82 meters, into a permanent cloud of mist. The energy produced here is staggering, a kinetic masterpiece that creates its own weather system. 553,000 cubic feet, or 15,600 cubic meters, of water can surge over these cliffs every second during the rainy season. To stand on the walkways is to witness the absolute limit of gravity's power. The spray rises 150 feet, or 45 meters, back into the sky, creating endless, shifting rainbows that bridge the divide between the two nations. The lush green of the jungle and the blinding white of the foam create a contrast so sharp it feels hyper-real, a deafening anthem to the planet's raw, unyielding circulation. In the heart of Croatia, the water does not roar, it whispers. Plitvice is a tiered labyrinth of 16 emerald lakes, interconnected by a delicate web of cascading waterfalls and moss-covered travertine barriers. These natural dams are formed by a rare chemical reaction, where living moss literally turns into stone, growing at a rate of 0.4 inches or 1 centimeter every year. To walk the wooden footpaths is to glide over a liquid mirror where the limestone bottom reflects a spectrum of blues that change with every shift of the sun's angle. To travel north to a landscape where the earth is sharpened to a point. The Canadian Rockies are a vertical empire of jagged limestone and ice. Covering over 4,450,000 acres, or 1,800,000 hectares. At the heart of this wilderness lies Lake Louise, a body of water that looks like liquid turquoise milk. This impossible color is the result of glacier flour. Fine particles of rock ground by the weight of massive glaciers and suspended in the water, which reflect the blue-green light of the sun. Above the lake, the Victoria Glacier hangs like a heavy white curtain between peaks that rise over 11,000 feet, or 3,400 meters. The silence here is heavy, broken only by the sharp crack of shifting ice or the distant call of an elk. A world of high-altitude drama where the mountains seem to be competing for the very air they occupy. Beneath the surface of the Coral Sea, we find a city that was built by architects the size of a fingernail. The Great Barrier Reef is the largest living structure on the planet, stretching for 1,400 miles or 2,300 kilometers along the coast of Australia. It is a biological miracle so vast that it remains the only living thing visible from outer space. This underwater metropolis is composed of billions of tiny coral polyps that have spent millions of years building a skeleton for the ocean. It is a kaleidoscope of nearly 3,000 individual reefs and 900 islands, housing 1,500 species of fish and 30 types of whales and dolphins. The water is so clear it feels like liquid light, revealing a landscape of brain corals, sea fans, and giant clams that have sat undisturbed for decades. In the heart of Europe, the mountains become walls of vertical ice and granite. The Swiss Alps Jungfrau Aletsch region contains the Great Aletsch Glacier, the largest ice flow in the Alps, stretching 13 miles or 23 kilometers. But the true impossibility here is human. To reach the Jungfraujoch, the highest railway station in Europe at 11,332 feet, or 3,454 meters, engineers spent 16 years blasting a tunnel through the solid rock of the Eiger and Mönch Mountains. It is a masterpiece of mountain engineering, a train that climbs through the inside of a peak to reveal a world of eternal winter. At the summit, the Sphinx Observatory perches on a knife-edge ridge, looking down upon a river of ice that has been carving these valleys since the last ice age. A place where the thin air and the blinding white of the glacier make the modern world feel like a distant memory. Southward, where limestone meets the deep indigo of the sea, the impossible takes the form of pastel facades. The Amalfi Coast is a vertical landscape, where towns like Positano cling to cliffs so steep that houses appear stacked on top of one another. There is almost no horizontal ground. Instead, the people have carved the mountainside into thousands of narrow terraces, growing lemon groves in soil suspended above the abyss. It is a maze of arched stairways where the scent of jasmine and salt air drifts through streets built for donkeys, not cars. From the terraced cliffs of the Mediterranean, we travel to a place where stone was commanded to become as light as air and as eternal as a heartbeat. At the edge of the Yamuna River, the physical world reaches a state of absolute mathematical grace. The Taj Mahal is not merely a tomb, it is the symmetry of grief transformed into white marble. Built in the 17th century by Emperor Shah Jahan for his beloved Mumtaz Mahal, the structure achieves an impossible balance. Every minaret, every arch, and every garden plot is a mirror image of its opposite, a three-dimensional equation where the variable is love. "20,000 artisans labored for over 20 years to inlay the translucent marble with semi-precious stones, creating delicate floral patterns that seem to grow from the rock itself. The white marble acts as a chromatic chameleon, absorbing the shifting moods of the sky. In the cool silver of the moon, it appears ghost-like. At dawn, it blushes with a pale rose glow, and under the heat of the midday sun, it reflects a blinding, celestial white. The central dome rises 115 feet, or 35 meters, high, yet it feels weightless, as if it were a bubble resting on the horizon. Through the grand gateway is to see the entire complex reflected in the central pool. A vision of a world where human devotion finally mastered the heavy, unyielding silence of the grave. Deep in the humid forests of the Yucatan, the ancient Maya built a mountain that functions as a celestial clock. El Castillo, the Great Pyramid of Kukulkan, is a masterpiece where architecture and astronomy are perfectly fused. It is a stone calendar rising 98 feet or 30 meters into the sky. Each of its 4 sides has 91 steps, which, when added to the top platform, equals 365, the number of days in the solar year. But the true impossibility occurs twice a year during the spring and autumn equinoxes. As the sun begins its descent, the shadows of the pyramid's 9 terraces are cast against the northern staircase, creating the startling illusion of a giant, feathered serpent slithering down toward the earth. This is a feat of light and shadow achieved through precise orientation and advanced geometry, a message from a civilization that could predict the movements of the stars with terrifying accuracy. The acoustics are equally strange. A sharp clap at the base of the pyramid triggers an echo that perfectly mimics the chirping call of the sacred Quetzal bird. It is a structure that breathes with the rhythm of the cosmos, a stone machine designed to prove that the gods and the seasons are one. In the Sierra Nevada mountains of California, the earth was once planed and polished by a mile-thick sheet of ice. Yosemite is a glacial cathedral defined by the sheer scale of its granite monoliths. El Capitan rises 3,000 feet, or 914 meters, straight from the valley floor, a single vertical wall of ancient stone that dwarfs everything in its shadow. Beside it, the half-dome stands like a colossal sentinel that has been sliced clean by the hands of a giant. The waterfalls here, like the Yosemite Falls, drop 2,425 feet, or 739 meters, appearing as delicate white ribbons against the gray granite. It is a landscape of verticality and silence, where the deep green of the giant sequoias meets the pale, unyielding gray of the high peaks, a place that reminds us of the slow, cold patience of the ice ages. Where Europe meets Asia across the Bosphorus, the skyline is dominated by the cascading domes of the Sultan Ahmed Mosque, known to the world as the Blue Mosque. This is the jewel of the historic areas of Istanbul, an architectural prayer in stone and light. Built in the early 17th century, it is the only mosque in the city with 6 slender minarets reaching 210 feet or 64 meters into the Turkish sky. The interior is a sapphire dream, covered by over 20,000 hand-painted Iznik ceramic tiles in 50 different tulip designs. The impossibility is in the light. 260 windows are positioned so that the interior glows with a soft, ethereal radiance that makes the massive dome seem to float above the prayer hall. This structure represents the peak of the Ottoman Empire's aesthetic power, a place where the precision of Islamic geometry meets the spiritual depth of the Orient. on the vast golden plains of East Africa, the Earth hosts a drama of survival that has remained unchanged for millennia. Serengeti National Park covers nearly 3,600,000 acres, or 1.5 million hectares, of open savanna and woodland. This is the stage for the Great Migration, the largest movement of land mammals on the planet. Over 2 million wildebeest, zebras, and gazelles move in a single rhythmic pulse across the landscape, driven by an ancient instinct to follow the rains. The sound of millions of hooves hitting the dry earth is a low, constant thunder that can be felt in the marrow of your bones. At the Mara River, the animals face the ultimate test, plunging into waters teeming with crocodiles in a desperate bid to reach fresh grass. It is a brutal and beautiful cycle of life and death, where the lions of the plains wait in the tall grass and the vultures circle in the white heat of the African sun. Northward, where the air turns sharp and the land is split wide, we reach a place where the earth is literally tearing itself apart. Thingvellir is a landscape of cold, crystalline beauty, situated in a rift valley where the North American and Eurasian tectonic plates are drifting away from each other at a rate of 0.8 inches or 2 centimeters per year. You can walk through the Almanakjar Gorge, standing with one hand on a cliff that belongs to the New World and the other on a wall of rock that belongs to the Old. This is a land of basalt rifts, crystal-clear springs, and a history that began in the year 930 with the world's first parliament. As the sun sets and the Arctic winter takes hold, the sky above the Rift Valley begins to ripple with the aurora borealis. Waves of neon green, violet and crimson dance across the darkness, the result of solar particles colliding with the Earth's magnetic field. The lights reflect off the frozen lava fields and the deep, silent fissures of the Earth, creating a fusion of geological force and cosmic energy. In this moment, the boundary between the ground and the stars disappears. You are no longer just a traveler. You are a witness to the final, impossible truth of our planet. A tiny point of consciousness standing at the meeting place of fire, ice, and the infinite light of the universe. Outro. These 30 sanctuaries are the living evidence of what happens when the earth and the human spirit reach for the unthinkable. From the silent mists of the Andes to the dancing lights of the north, the world remains a master of the impossible. Go, look, realize how much is left to see.